Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Today's episode is a game preview, and today we'll be focusing on the Thursday night matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. As usual, I'll be going through what I believe to be the key matchups and how I expect both of these teams to attack this game and how I feel the end result's going to end up. For me, the key factor in this game is just the desperation of the Raiders. Having lost the Chargers last weekend, they're well behind the 8 ball in the AFC, in the AFC West in particular, which has been a division that's been as good as advertised. And over the last few weeks, I think it's hard to disagree with the fact that they are the team currently playing the worst football in that division. On the other hand, the Chiefs have been one of the NFL's most impressive and consistent sides. Coming off their first defeat of the season against the Steelers, first time their offence hasn't looked very dynamic in a game, and they were absolutely shut down. And yeah, they'll want to come back with a vengeance in this one, you'd have to think, and they can really take control of that division with a victory here. A loss really starts to muddle things up. So we'll start with the matchups between the Raiders offense, which has been sputtering as of late, and the Chiefs defense. I feel like this is going to be a defining factor in this game, simply because the Raiders have not been able to put up points. Even before Derek Carr got hurt, they were going through a bit of a dry run. Amari Cooper, I'm not sure what's going on there, but he is just not playing good football at this point in time. The run game sputtering, offensive line not playing nearly as well as they did last season, particularly at the tackle spot, but the guards aren't playing at the same level. Well, the interior is not playing at the same level either. Michael Crabtree's had a really good season. Outside of him, I don't think this offense has lived up to expectations by any stretch. And the Chiefs, on the other side of things, when Eric Berry went down in week 1, a lot of reasons to be worried about. Well, not a lot, but it's still a very talented group. They've played as I would have expected heading into the season. And I think they've got a lot of advantages in this matchup. First and foremost, this Raiders team was supposed to be a high-powered passing offense. That's not been the case. I imagine the way things are going right now, Marcus Peters will play on Michael Crabtree. Cooper's having a fantastic season once again, one of the top players in the league at the position. I expect him to have the advantage in that matchup. That will leave Cooper free to make some plays. It will be a question as to whether he can. But the Chiefs are doing a great job of not giving up too many big plays this year. Over the top, playing the safeties deep. On top of that, the main matchup that I feel the Chiefs have is against those offensive tackles. Dee Ford and Justin Houston, both playing very, very well right now. Houston in particular, he's a defensive MVP candidate. He's been that good. It's going to be a really tough game with the way Donald Penn has been playing on the left side. He was supposed to be the reliable one at right tackle. Donald Stevenson has not been great either. Even on the interior, there's some really good matchups there. You've got Benny Logan and Jones, Chris Jones for the Chiefs. They've both been playing at a high level. It's going to be, the Raiders are going to have to be able to open up some run lanes. Rodney Hudson, Cleachy Assembly, gonna have to, I think, have a big day. This Raiders team, the run game's not been dynamic enough to allow for this passing attack to really be that diverse, and somewhat vice versa. Neither side of the ball playing particularly well, but I feel like with Marshawn Lynch, and when you see what happened to the Chiefs last week, what Le'Veon Bell was able to do, I think you have to try and replicate the best you can, and that means Marshawn Lynch rolling back the years and having a really big day. But that will start up front. It's tough to run on these guys generally, though. They're good at the inside linebacker position behind that. But I do feel like you can get good matchups on Derek Johnson in coverage. Incredibly savvy player, but if you can get an athletic tight end lined up on him, like they've got those guys, can maybe make some hay there. But the Chiefs have been very good defending tight ends this year, so it may not be the most reliable plan in the world. Jalen Richard, I think, is going to have to be involved and going to need to have some kind of speed threat. Marshawn Lynch is what he is at this stage in time. He's a between the tackles grinder. I don't see him being a threat to take one around the edges and burn a team for a big game anymore. If you're the Chiefs, I feel you can pretty much play the way you've been playing most of the season. You can be pretty, I think, dynamic, that until these receivers start stepping up, you can blitz in this game. I think you can really try and mix it up, try and exploit matchups, overload sides, and see what the Raiders can do to stop it. I do not expect the Raiders to be able to run the ball based on what we've seen from them this year. I think that line is going to do a good enough job for Kansas City. I think that will allow them to do some fairly creative things. And frankly, at this point, the onus is on the Raiders to show that they're better than they've been, which on paper they are, but it's just that they've not been executing well in any regard at this point in the season. If you're the Raiders, I think you've got to try and attack this in a very balanced manner. Chiefs' defence doesn't have any striking weaknesses, but if you go into it really pass heavy, then they're going to be able to just bring the rush all day. They can hold up in coverage. They don't really need to blitz. But I feel in this case it's something that you're likely to see, considering what the Raiders offence. I think when a team is struggling on the offensive side, you generally want to try and bring blitzes just to keep them off balance, keep them from feeling any kind of sustained momentum from play to play. And I think we'll see quite a lot of that. I think we'll see the Chiefs mixing it up. As a result, I think the Raiders, they've got to be very creative on the offensive side. I mean, stuff like end arounds, stuff you wouldn't normally see from them. Some screen type plays. They've not been particularly big on those the last few years. Play actions, flea flickers, whatever they've got to do. Try and find a spark in this game. Try and move Amari Cooper around. Maybe get him in the slot. You might find some nice matchups. Keep away from Marcus Cooper. I think that's going to be a big part of this one. And just try and attack all three areas of the field. The Chiefs haven't been tested a huge amount deep lately, and I feel that they play that part of the game quite well, but try and do so. I think you've got to try and slow down this rush. I think you've got to bring extra blockers in it multiple times in this game. And I think the interior run game has to be the focal point. I don't trust that you've got Justin Houston setting one edge. That's going to be very difficult. So I think the interior run game has to be what you do well. So if you're the Raiders, that's what you got to do. If you're the Chiefs, you just got to try and, I think, make big plays defensively. Try and just keep this Raiders team from building any kind of momentum. Keep them pinned down there. Things can't be feeling good in that Oakland locker room right now. On the defensive side, for the Raiders, it's looking like a difficult matchup. They've been a bit up and down, and I think the general lack of talent somewhat showing. Khalil Mack's having a great year. I like the rookie defensive tackle, Bandados. I think he's been playing quite well. The line as a whole is not playing too badly. They are having some spotty play at the linebacker positions and in the secondary though, and that lack of consistency is making it hard on this team. I think you can't really hang their hat on anything other than Khalil Mack's going to be great at this stage of the season. Conversely, the Chiefs have a very experienced offense for the most part. These guys have been together a while. There's a few, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, young players, but beyond that, a lot of experience, been in the same system, and they've really shown that in the way they've played most of this year. They've not been turning the ball over now. If there's one thing the Raiders can maybe have some faith in, at some point, the team's going to have some turnovers. The Chiefs are kind of due. Alex Smith's not thrown an interception once this year. Maybe this is the week, but I like the matchups. I think their offensive line's been playing pretty well. They get Duvernay Tardif back. I think that will really help. They really did miss him at the weekend when they were dominated in the trenches by the Steelers. Cam Irving is not going to cut it. Generally, I'm sure they'll have a plan for Khalil Mack. I'm sure he'll be chipped. Kelsey's an excellent blocker. You'll see him blocking him in the run game, and I think he may even be kept in on some sort of delayed routes to try and mitigate him as much as possible. When you play this Raiders team, that's got to be the focal point, stopping that guy, because he is an absolute game wrecker. On the outside, obviously Tyreek Hill's the big threat. If you're the Raiders, I think you've got to pay attention to him. You've got to have a safety over the top edging that way. I think you'll see a lot of 8-man fronts from the Raiders in this game, so you're going to have a deep safety, I think, line up over there. The difficulty there becomes when Kelsey lines up on the opposite side. That safety's got a difficult decision to make, but they're just going to have to play off Hill, try and force him to run routes over the middle and just rally to him. I think if he gets the sideline against this team, he's going to have a lot of success against a fairly unproven secondary. Just stick someone athletic on him who can play physically and try and keep him. Well, I would say at the line of scrimmage, that's probably a bad idea. Just play off him and rally. Don't let him get behind you. That's where he's a threat. Travis Kelsey is just a nightmare, frankly. The way they've been using him this year, that little shovel pass that everyone's been using. Chiefs were the ones who started doing that this year. They've used him with screen plays. They've sent him downfield all over the place. He's the problem. I don't know what you do if you're the Raiders. I think Joseph is probably the most reliable guy you've got in that secondary. I think he's your 8-man front safety for this game, and I think his primary responsibility is Travis Kelsey in the passing game. Possibly bracket him with a linebacker, because he's the guy that you've got to take away. And Kareem Hunt is another problem. That's why I think 8-man boxes are going to be the order of the day here. They've got to keep him quiet. Steers did a fantastic job of that. He still managed to eat them up in the passing game, but that's not where he's going to kill you. This Chiefs team's been supremely balanced. They've ran the ball very, very well outside of that one performance. If you can take that away, you could see Alex Smith struggling with first the pass rush that he had to deal with, but also they were struggling to get anything in the run game. They've run the rollouts and the play actions as well as anybody this year, and frankly that was taken away by the Steelers. I think the Raiders just have to try and emulate that game plan as much as they possibly can. It's going to be difficult. They definitely do not have the talent at the linebacker position or at corner, but they're going to have to try. The linebackers are what concern me. When you're looking at a team with Travis Kelsey and Kareem Hunt coming out of the backfield, I think that's going to be incredibly difficult. The Raiders are going to have to play. They're going to have to get pressure. The 8-man front's going to have to hold up. They're going to have to be very, very disciplined with their gaps, and they're certainly going to have to bring some blitzes in this one in order to have any realistic success against this offense. In terms of how the Chiefs attack it, I think they go their usual plan. Mishmash of their 3-star guys. If they can get that run game going, we'll see that play action game, the rollout game come into play. I think they try and set things up with a screen game in the interior running. And as per, basically, there's no need for them to change it. One game, it didn't work. Every other game it has, and it's been great and enormously successful. So just keep that up. On the defensive side, if you're the Raiders, I think Travis Kelsey's public enemy number one. Much like I said, 8-man fronts. Don't be afraid to bring some blitzes, possibly some zone blitzes, anything that slows Alex Smith's ability to read the field down. But don't let Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelsey beat you. Kelsey, I don't know how you deal with him if you're this team, but I've given you my suggestion. I think Cole Joseph and some help is going to be the best bet. And just don't let Tyreek Hill get over the top of things. Certainly going to be difficult. The way I'm telling them to play, containing those big plays may be a challenge, but I think you've got to take your chances. And you never know. Maybe you'll get a pick off Alex Smith in this one. Move Khalil Mack around. I think that's going to be essential. And make him... make the Chiefs give stuff away. They're going to have a plan for Mack on most plays, you'd have to think, particularly in the passing game. So move him all over the place. Try and get some ideas as to what they're trying to do to stop him and manipulate those later in the game. It's going to certainly be difficult though, you'd have to think. As for how I see this game going, I think it'll be close. Raiders' backs are up against the wall. They have to have this one. But on a short week, I like the team that's playing better football generally. And the way the Raiders have been performing, I just feel it's going to be very tough to stop that run game. I don't feel they match up well with this offence, in all honesty. And the Chiefs have just been the better team at this point, so it's impossible for me to pick against them. I got the Chiefs winning and doing so fairly comfortably. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on this matchup. As always, if you could give us a shout, what do you think of this game? Got the comment section below, the Cover Zero Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk football. As ever, like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff. Plenty of other stuff up on the channel. Game reviews, previews going up all the time. Tuesday we do the Cover Zero Roundtable. It's our weekly podcast. I'll cover every game that's happened and is going to happen in the NFL, so they're really enjoyable. Check them out. And thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure as always. Have a great day and go Bucks.